How we doing, guys? And welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Got a lot we're going to speak on tonight. A lot of various topics ranging from the legacy of Pele. We're also going to talk about our takeaways from tonight's Thursday night football game between the Tennessee Titans and the Dallas Cowboys. NBA going into the new year, Brett and I are going to give you our takes on who's going places and who's pretending. We got some comments from LeBron James that are going to be interesting. Brett is already shaking his head. We're also going to look ahead to our games in Week 17. When I say our games, I'm talking about Brett's team and my team, the New England Patriots and the New York Giants. Going to get Brett's takes on the unbiased opinions going into the Cheddar and the Sun Bowl between me and co-host Mike Zappi. And we're also going to hit on who's our NFL MVP. Without further ado, welcome back to the show, my brother from another mother, Mr. Brett Bandick. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, baby. Ready to rock and roll. Been a while since I've been on, so happy to be here.
Awesome, man. Before we get started, how was your Christmas?
It was good, man. It was good. Had a couple beers, watched about game and a half of football, had a lot of food, and passed out watching Lethal Weapon. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better Christmas.
And I might as well ask you, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I might as well ask you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. I'm happy you gave the answer that I wanted to hear.
Absolutely. Like that's not even a debate. And I got in a fight with some girl at work that is like 25 years old. I was like, no, like get on my face. Get on my face.
Yeah, either get it or you don't with Die Hard. We're gonna start a little more seriously. We're gonna talk about a legend. True to the game of soccer, or actually football, if you will. Pele, huge ambassador to the game of soccer. Similarly, on the ambassador level of how a Kobe Bryant would be to the NBA, maybe on a smaller level, how a Curtis Granderson would be to MLB in terms of being an ambassador in the inner cities. Curtis Granderson was a great representative for Major League Baseball. Some of the stats on this man: 3-time World Cup champ, leading goal scorer of all soccer players at 1,283 goals. That is just unfathomable stats.
Insane. That's insane.
FIFA player of the previous century, and as I already stated, a global ambassador and humanitarian. And when I think about recently with the World Cup and noticing here in our country how for the first time in my life, I feel that I've seen more interest in soccer because, growing up in New York, you had pockets that would get fired up about the World Cup, whether it be the Irish communities, whether it be the Italian communities, Central American communities, because, New York's a melting pot where you have people from everywhere, literally everywhere. But here in Orlando, we have our team. But I noticed that soccer has truly grown. And it's only going to continue to get bigger and bigger, but you cannot say enough about Pele's contributions to the game because I say to myself, you can make a case that, like, he is to soccer what Babe Ruth is to baseball, or what Hulk Hogan is to wrestling. It's a huge loss. But at the same time, I think it's almost poetic in a way that his passing comes right after one of the most exciting World Cups ever, where what I like about what I'm seeing with the growth of soccer is that you're getting a lot of the casual fans that are turning into like real fans now. And it's definitely becoming a player challenging the number 3 and number 4 sports in the country and trying to get into that next layer of supremacy. And on some levels, it's already happened, because as I said, a soccer game, you have a soccer game going on every minute of every day somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, you can't say that about any other sport. But I was very sad to hear this news today. I actually found out this news when I was at work. My mother frequently sends me articles so I can kind of stay ahead and always prep for these kind of shows. But like I said, just a true legend. And I don't really feel that there's anything that we can personally say on the show that would even do it justice of what this man meant to the sport. But
well, number one, it's not even to the sport. Like he was, how do I put it? He was the most successful and popular sports figure of the 20th century. In 1999, he was named Athlete of the Century.
Yeah, the century.
By the International Olympic Committee.
Yeah, that's a different. That's a whole other layer.
That's a whole nother level, man.
And when I think about globalization of who he was as a player, it's literally once in a generation. So in basketball, when you think of our generation, it's Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jordan.
This guy.
But it is comparable to that Michael Jordan impact in terms of globalizing the game.
This guy, listen to this crap, dude. His 1,279 goals in 1,363 games.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, more goals in games. Yeah, truly
that's
incredible.
Insane, dude.
No, truly incredible. And like I said, there'll never be another. Like you have your players now, your Cristiano Ronaldos. You have other players, but this dude is the godfather and the birther of all of that.
Yeah. 100%.
So quite frankly, the best way to pay homage in the soccer community is just to essentially tell people about his greatness, the way I see it, and understand that, today's great athletes in soccer are truly reaping the benefits because of what this man did. There's nothing else to say other than he'll be missed, and we appreciate his contributions. I mean, it is staggering what the man accomplished on the soccer field. Truly incredible. We're going to move it along to the NBA.
Crazy.
Going into the new year, it's weird right now. You got a Western Conference that you're seeing the top of the conference with teams that we're not necessarily used to seeing.
No, not at all.
I mean, you got the New Orleans Pelicans playing the 1 seed right now. Should the playoffs start, they're almost at the midway point. A constant favorite, Golden State Warriors, are all the way down at 10.
They're down at 10.
Obviously, Steph Curry, when he's not playing, they are a different team. It's been proven. Face of the league for the better part of a decade and a half prior to Steph. LeBron James, his Lakers struggling, a couple of years removed from winning the bubble championship at Walt Disney World, recently making some comments with regards to his desire to win and how he feels that what's going on now is not indicative of the player he is today. And, dude, you might not like what I'm going to say.
I won't. I can already tell.
To a level, I liken it to the frustration of Tom Brady. I do believe that on a level, there are other moving parts and other variables, of course. It's a team sport just as much as football is. But I do believe that when you are that great for that long and you are like the face of the league, so to speak, I believe that when certain things start to go or when certain things don't go your way, I do think that certain jocks kind of get in this denial mode about Father Time coming to be like, hey, let me get some of that back. In LeBron's case, I don't know what to say other than it just hasn't worked, from floor spacing to the right character guys in that locker room. Then you got AD, who's always hurt. But, and it kind of leans over into the legacy thing as well. It's like, he said, with the right cast of guys, we can get this. And I almost feel like it's a push away of blame, that it's like, well, the thing I'll give Brady, I'm going to make an assessment and a breakaway with these two guys. They both might be in denial about Father Time. But the one difference is that you'll never hear Brady publicly say who he needs and what he needs. He might light up his offensive line. Behind closed doors, he might bitch to his closest confidants. about that he just doesn't feel that he has enough around him, I'm sure as a quarterback he would do that.
Yeah, but he's not going to say that publicly.
Correct. And in LeBron's case, I feel that for quite some time, when you compare him to the other greats that played this game, Kobe Bryant, great example. In my opinion, one half of the greatest duo in NBA history. Not the greatest team, but the greatest duo, he and Shaquille O'Neal. You can make arguments that it's Magic and Kareem. They would also be a popular pick when it comes to that. But the point to be made is he went on to win without Shaq to prove his overall true greatness.
So did Brady.
That's not the comparison I'm looking for here.
But he did it. He did the same thing Kobe did.
No, he did not. No, he didn't.
He left New England to do the same thing that Kobe wanted to do, win without Shaq.
Yeah, but
he wanted to win. Brady wanted to win without Belichick.
I understand that, but Brady
same idea.
Yeah, same idea, but not the same scenario because Brady left a New England team where he had a naked roster and essentially went to a super team in Tampa. And it's been the wave in the NFL, similar to the NBA nowadays. You look at your last two Super Bowl champs, Los Angeles Rams, Tampa Bay Bucks, super teams. But now you look at the residual of that. When you overpay and you blow up all your draft capital and all your salary cap.
Oh, yeah.
This is the ugly side.
It's win or bust.
In any other year, does Tampa win that division? They still might not. But in any other year, do they win that division?
It's win or bust.
Thank you. And you look at what's going on with the Rams. They are probably the worst defending champion. I mean, dude, I think you'd have to go all the way back to probably 1999 when the Denver Broncos, the first year after Elway went back-to-back and retired, you'd have to go all the way back that far to see a team that was that bad of an imposter of what we expect a defending champion to look like. You're a Patriot fan. You've had your share of seasons with heightened expectations, whether you lost the Super Bowl, whether you won it. And there's a certain standard that comes with that. My Giants, only team to win a Super Bowl each of the last 4 decades. But we certainly, as Giant fans, know what the Super Bowl hangover looks like. You know what I mean? Like, in between our two most recent, we had some weird situations where you're like, damn, this team is championship ready, but it just didn't happen. And I think it speaks to a level of how difficult it is to win a Super Bowl, especially if you're talking dynasties and you're talking back-to-back and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, dynasty is a whole nother level, you know, but as regards to what LeBron said, because, I mean, we're kind of getting off a little topic here, but I mean, I saw something on Facebook earlier today, and I think it was from a Chicago, some kind of Chicago newspaper, and it compared, of course, Jordan, LeBron.
Yeah, the never-ending debate.
Yeah, you know, but it was, you know, it was Chicago. How many number one draft picks Jordan had? 0.
Yes, I read this.
How many draft picks did LeBron have? 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the list is, it kept going down. And Jordan's list, you know what I mean? Like, it was up there to the point where I was like, okay, LeBron's had all this help. Jordan didn't have shit. Scottie Pippen wasn't a high draft pick. Neither was Rodman. He developed over time.
Well, yeah, he got kind of cultivated into the
Luke Longley. Come on.
No, I get it.
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, when I look at
Jordan didn't have all these prime time players. He had all these players that developed over time. And, you know, I'm not going to say he made them great, but, you know, he did make them better players.
I always feel that when it comes to winning championships, there's always a couple of things that need to happen. We've had these arguments in the past, or debates, where you take a guy like Mike coming into the league. First of all, the league was ran by centers when MJ was coming in. It was a big man's game.
Mid 80s, mid
Yes.
late 80s. Yeah.
Yes, and it's completely different now. But the thing with MJ, and it speaks volumes about how good the competition was that he dealt with. You got a Celtics team that won 3 championships in the decade of the 80s, and they weren't even the team of the decade because the Lakers were, who won 5. Now, in between that, you sprinkle in the Philadelphia 76ers, and late in the 80s, early in the 90s, the final test for Mike and company before they got over the top. Yes, sir, the bad boy Pistons. When I look at LeBron, can you make a case and say that the team that he beat in the finals or lost to multiple times, talking about the Golden State Warriors, can you make a case that they were better than any team that Jordan played? Yeah, actually you could. Actually you could. But this is the thing. It's a different era in basketball where there's a lot of kumbaya now, and it's like everybody wants to play with their buddies. When in the Jordan era, it meant something to guys to stay with the same team. You look at Jordan's rivals. Ewing was a lifelong Knick until the very end, but he was a Knick through and through. One of his chief rivals, Reggie Miller, one of his chief rivals. You're talking going out west. He had to go through Stockton and Malone. Malone played one lone season with the Lakers at the very end, but he and Stockton were together forever with those Jazz teams. In between his retirement and part of coming back, Rockets win too. Olajuwon, for the most part, lifelong Rocket. Nobody remembers him in a Raptors jersey. It was at the very end. But these guys weren't hopping teams for cheap rings. They were hopping teams to keep their careers alive. It was a little different. And if I think about a player in that era that was like in that superstar level that could maybe be viewed as a mercenary, I would say possibly Charles Barkley, because he did kind of team hop a little. Shaquille O'Neal would be a good example. But even but
that was later in his career, though. It's not like he did it the first,
Well, the Miami, he did leave Orlando kind of high and dry to go to the Lakers. And then, he and Kobe didn't get along. There was a lot of drama. And they chose to trade him to the Miami Heat. Initially, the Heat reaped the rewards. Big picture, it was a good trade for the Lakers, big picture-wise. But I guess to bring this full circle, what I'm trying to get at is I have a hard time comparing these two eras of basketball because it's just not the same game.
No, it's not.
And don't get me wrong, there's things about today's NBA that I truly love. I mean, I think the athletes are supreme. There are certain dudes that I think could play in any era. I really do believe that. And yes, LeBron does. I do believe LeBron, from a skill level and from a physical level, could play with the dudes in the 80s. But do I think he's as mentally tough as, say, a Larry Bird? Nah, dude, I can't say that. Because that's a conversation that comes up. Who's the best small forward? I'm not all the way comfortable giving that to LeBron and taking it from Larry. I'm not all the way comfortable.
Listen. We went to LeBron's recent comments to a GOAT conversation.
Well, he's in the conversation, and that's why.
Yeah, but I can't even. I can't though. I can't because you and I both watched Jordan growing up.
Of course. We
watched Kareem growing up.
Of course.
Magic, Bird. All those dudes.
Yeah, we're lucky that we got to see those guys play.
We've had the privilege of watching Kobe. We've had the privilege of Steph. We've had
Tim Duncan.
And Tim Duncan, dude. Everybody.
And more great point guards than we could even name.
I can sit here and talk shit about LeBron all day long. Just because I
listen, he has his place. I tried to the best of my ability.
At the same time,
my personal feelings overshadow the guy's game.
But
he's a great player.
At the same time, I have to give him credit. I have to give him where credit's due. He's done his due diligence in the league. He's the king of today's game.
You're talking 2 decades. The longevity says a lot.
It does, but it's also, like you said, a different era.
Similar to Brady. This is where I'm more comfortable making a comparison. Tom Brady don't last 20 years if he plays in the 70s or 80s. And LeBron James possibly doesn't last 20 years if he plays in the Jordan Magic era. Dude, I think that's a fair comparison.
Hey, I mean, Brady played in the late 90s, early 2000s, so it is what it
His
is.
rookie year was 2000, but the game changed over the course of time, and you could say that at least half his career they were really honing in on keeping these
Dude,
quarterbacks
he's been in the
protected.
NFL half his life.
No, I'm aware. I get it.
Half his life, he's been in the NFL.
You could say the same thing about LeBron James. The man turned pro when he was 18. I get it.
Yeah.
As far as the NBA goes, Brett, get off the LeBron thing for a second.
Yeah, please.
Who do you like right now? Do you think that looking at the board in the West, where you're seeing teams that we're not used to seeing up top, a couple of them, but the Pelicans up there definitely it grabs your eyes.
Yeah.
Do you think the East is a lot stronger, or do you think that the West is so competitive that the records aren't lining up with the talent?
No, I think the East is a lot stronger.
I tend to agree with you this year.
I mean, you can go back, a couple of years. We've always had this debate. The West is stronger, blah blah blah, but the East is like, it's the Big East. You know what I mean? Like they beat the crap out of each other all season long.
For
Come
sure.
playoff time, you know what I mean? It's a different story. But it's the East, man. Oh man, I mean, Boston is hot. They're playing hot. It's really hard to compete with them right now. Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee's 2 or 3 right now. I think they're 2. I think they're 3.
Yeah, they're right behind Brooklyn. Brooklyn got hot this week.
Yeah, Brooklyn's 2. Miami's 3.
My Knicks were on an 8-game winning streak, to be followed by a 5-game losing streak. Exclamation point!
By your lovely Knicks.
Against the Dallas Mavericks, Luka going for 60.
60, 20, 10. 60, 20, 10.
They don't play basketball.
Dude, they don't play defense. Bottom line, today's NBA does not play defense.
I was messing with Jeff. Jeff randomly posted in the comments this. Chiefs.
No, fuck you. Is that Blowert?
Who do you think it is?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Tell him to shave that freaking ball sack off his chin.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said it. But no, dude, nobody plays defense in the NBA anymore. I'm sorry. Everybody, like, the crappiest team in the league averages 100 points a game, 110 points a game. That's bullshit. That's bullcrap. I get it. Luka, he did his thing. He did an absolutely phenomenal.
One of the biggest things that has changed?
He did
that gets overlooked frequently.
I mean, that's a milestone and a half. Don't get me wrong.
No more hand checking. No more hand checking. It sounds like I might be reaching, but that rule change legitimately changed things. I think this is how I think it goes. Steph Curry is the most impactful player still to his team, maybe with the exception of Giannis. I'd be willing to say that maybe Giannis has a bigger impact or the same impact that Steph does.
Yeah, but Giannis hand checks. Steph doesn't.
Well, it's not really illegal anymore. The point I'm making here is that I believe that over time, the Golden State Warriors have proven that they do not need to have the best record to run the table, to get hot in the playoffs, to do it. Because when you look at the list of teams that are doing it in the West right now, nobody has even a fraction of the playoff experience that the Golden State Warriors do. And there's something to say about that kind of continuity and going through the wars together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if Golden State's number 7. I don't care if Golden State's number 8. I don't think it's a far-fetched cry that this team could go to the NBA Finals and beat or give the best series possible to the East representative. I know Boston's in first right now. I don't believe in them to run it all the way. I'm sticking with my preseason prediction out of what I've seen at the midway point. Bucks, Warriors, NBA Finals. Bucks should have the home court advantage, but I'm gonna go. I'm sticking with the Warriors, man. They're my preseason pick. I'm sticking with them. I still think that when the chips are on the table and when the pressure's on, this is a team that doesn't need to explain anything. Get in the playoffs, still make some noise.
I can see it happening. I really can, especially with the Warriors' playoff experience. I mean, the West is just so frigged up, man.
Well, I think a lot of that also speaks on there's some player
I
movement.
mean, I think if
The Clippers are dangerous.
the Clippers are dangerous, but I think if Ja stays healthy going through the playoffs, I mean, the Grizzlies got a good shot, man. They do. They could play defense, number one. But I like the way Ja's going. He's the upcomer. He's balls to the wall, man. I love watching this guy play. I love watching
He
Ja.
reminds me of like a modern version of the human highlight reel talking about Dominique Wilkins. Like he, in a lot of ways, offensively,
a little bit, yeah.
Offensively, not defensively, but offensively, he reminds me very much of Neek. Very much so.
A little bit. I can see that.
I mean, I even look at the East right now, and I look at rosters. I always think about rosters when it comes to playoff time, because right now it's a cluster with the exception of 1, 2, and 3 in the East team. Cleveland, I would say Cinderella story of this year in terms of how well they've played. Yeah. But then again, they had a huge acquisition in the offseason.
And they're only 4 games behind.
Right. Philly, to me, they're where people expect them to be. A lot of people had them as the 1 seed. Heat, Knicks, consistently inconsistent, both of them. But I do believe that the Heat and Knicks are going to climb once they start getting their traction. I would say that, though, the one team in the East that's disappointing me and surprising me with how erratic they've been, probably the Chicago Bulls. I expected a lot more out of the Bulls this year. And a team that's on the rise that it might not show this year, but I think maybe 1 year removed, and they're going to be a playoff team, is the Orlando Magic. I do like what I've seen from Orlando's young cast.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, dude, I am confident.
Another year or two. I'd say at least another 2 years for them.
I am confident that these Warriors, once they get their health, and once they get that in order, I do believe truly that the Golden State Warriors are going to come out of that conference. I just think the track record speaks for itself, and there's nobody in this conference. And I will say that out of all these teams, the team, if I was a Warrior fan, the team that would worry me the most is actually the Clippers. That's just my opinion. Lakers, what a joke.
No,
I know. I don't want to wrap this.
They're 14-21. Quit talking about the freaking Lakers.
I know. I don't even want to wrap back into.
Yeah, please don't.
We're going to move this along to a little bit of a Week 17 look ahead. We did do our Week 17 preview, Zappy, Idris, and myself. Brett wasn't with us. So I'd like for Brett to break down how he views both these games, really, since they are a team. Start with who you want. Giants or Pats, go right ahead.
Yeah, I think you're locking the 6th spot. G-Men, I think you're locking that up. As far as the mighty P-Men go, I mean, regardless, we got to win.
It's winning time now.
We had our chances the past 2 weeks to, really nip this in the bud, and it didn't happen. We had a really frigged up ending in the Raiders game, and then a fumble inside the 15 of last week.
Yeah, 2 games you should have won.
Win against the Bengals. So I mean, that's back-to-back weeks where we could have won easily, and
I mean, even if you lose the Raider game in overtime, it's
mental errors continue to haunt us.
Indeed.
So mental errors continue to haunt us. But it's just it's so frigged up. We have a good shot this weekend. No Tua at home.
Weather's going to be a factor.
I think Harris is coming back.
He is.
So we have Stevenson and Harris coming back healthy. If we do what we're supposed to do regarding running the ball and play defense, I think we'll win. But
it's a big challenge for Teddy Bridgewater.
The way things have been going for us the past 2 weeks, it wouldn't surprise me if we did lose this game because of dumb fundamental errors, which is not a Belichick team.
the reason why it would surprise me if you lost is because one contradiction and one criticism I've had, because contradiction meaning how Mike McDaniel was pitched as this offensive guru, and I get it. He was the hot assistant, got off to a nice little start. Now they're coming down to earth. But my issue with him for the longest has been run the damn ball. This team never commits to the run. That's why they never put teams away when they got a lead. Similarly to the Baltimore Ravens, how they struggle with putting people away this year.
Similar to last week against the Green Bay Packers.
Correct. And this is not some scientific formula. This applies to any era of professional football. You want to win when you got the lead. Yeah, it's great to pass, and sometimes the pass opens up the run in today's NFL. But you've got to run the damn ball if you want to put people away. Mm-hmm. And, Miami has lost their way, and now with the Tua situation, and that kind of leads into another controversy yet again. Did they handle this concussion protocol properly? And it just seems like between even dating it back to last year with the unceremonious firing of Brian Flores, followed by the lawsuit, alleged tampering even when Brady considered messing with them and then, thought better a little bit before that to go with Tampa. The concussion stuff now. It's like, if this is college football, they're getting kind of like that reputation as kind of like a dirty program. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's just not a good look. And, we saw the Tua injury in the Cincinnati game. The poor kid, literally was throwing up gang signs like it was scary.
He was doing this.
It was scary. It was scary. And to think of just the negligence, and now you have another concussion with this kid, and they're once again questioning if they turned a blind eye to it. It's bad, bro. It's really bad. As the game goes, I just don't see them being able to do what they got to do on offense to win the game. From a fantasy perspective, I'm hoping Waddle at least hits pay dirt once. I think the Patriots win the game, and I think Ramondre Stevenson not only redeems himself for that fumble lost, I just think he's going to have a damn good game. And I think the Pats are going to be able to dictate the game flow and play stingy defense.
I hope you're right. Because we need this dub. And, dude, I don't care if it's a 15-12 game. I don't care if it's a 18-16 game. As long as we come out with a dub, I don't give a shit how many points we score. I don't care what kind of stats. I don't care what kind of stats Mac puts up. We need the dub at the end of the day. We need it.
And you're talking to a Giant fan. If anybody knows what winning ugly looks like, it's me, because we've won a lot of close games this year. Game you got to have. Bottom line, as far as my team goes, I'll make it short and sweet because I did kind of speak on it on the previous show. I think the Giants have caught every inch of momentum that they need. Sometimes we talk about good losses. I read the Post. They were trying to compare the loss to the Vikings in terms of how the Giants played.
No, that was actually a good loss for you.
No, for sure. But they were comparing it to the confidence that the Giants gained after losing to the Pats back in 2007. Now, granted, the Vikings are not the Patriots of 2007. We know this.
I can see that.
But they do have one glaring similarity.
I can see that.
Look at the records of those two men, Randy Moss, Justin Jefferson, high potent offense. Kirk Cousins is not Tom Brady. We know this. But the point to be made is this Giant team is believing. And it's the time to believe now. Haven't been in the playoffs since 2016. The infamous boat trip. We finally have an opportunity to get back. And it's exciting because this new regime has really just given so much hope to the fan base. Mm-hmm. You're seeing guys that on most rosters would not be starting. And, Dable has done a phenomenal job. Great motivator. You talk about Wink Martindale. I say to myself, my God, we were able to get that kind of heat the last couple of weeks, and it's truly remarkable.
Yeah.
It's truly remarkable that they're doing this with a patchwork roster. And I say to myself, wait till we get our guys and wait till we get some cap space.
Mm-hmm.
It's really exciting. It's truly, truly exciting. And it's just the beginning. Moving it along to my takeaways from tonight, short and sweet.
Oh, please.
Mike Vrabel, this is a
Please
team, the
Please
Tennessee Titans, that had a great deal of high expectations going into the year. Got off to an excellent start. One of the best running backs in professional football, Derrick Henry, was inactive tonight. Ryan Tannehill got an emergency surgery. He's out for the year. Malik Willis, by ways beyond my understanding, got benched in a must-win game. And, I feel that Dallas did the bare minimum of what they had to do to win a football game. I don't think they did anything overly sexy to win this game. They didn't necessarily have to. It's a short week.
No, they didn't have to. Tennessee gave them all the chances to win this game.
Yeah, for sure. And bad football teams.
They started a third-string quarterback without their starting running back. And, it was a shit show from the get-go. I watched the first 2 quarters of this game, and it was just, number one, Vrabel was not making the right calls. They were making, a lot of fundamental mistakes.
Yeah.
And
painful to watch.
A lot of fundamental mistakes. And Dallas they were just feasting on the quarterback.
And listen, I could live with bad teams are bad teams. But what I can't deal with, no matter who I'm watching, I hate poor, not using the brain, just ugly football. That's one thing I hate. It's not indicative of the kind of coach they have. And, as far as Dallas goes, I noticed some of my friends who are Dallas fans on social media were getting pissed off saying how there's no way that we shouldn't be blowing this team out. Dallas plays to the level of their competition. There could be some validity to that. A lot of people were ready to pull their hair out and freak out when Green Bay beat Dallas, when Jacksonville beat Dallas. But the truth is, both those teams, especially Jacksonville, win Sunday, they're in, South champs. Green Bay suddenly, after such a terrible start, they too have a chance to get in. And, you ask Zappy from here at the show, he doesn't want to play Green Bay. He's made that very clear. Aaron Rodgers having their number. But 2 teams go in 2 different directions. Dallas is locked into the 5. They're going to play whoever wins the division between Carolina and Tampa. And that's really all it is on that front.
This was a typical Thursday night game. You know what I mean? Nobody really enjoys the Thursday night games. I get it. I get what the NFL is trying to do.
It's a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag.
When the schedule came out and you saw this game, I'm willing to bet that we probably thought it was going to be a lot better than what we saw.
Yeah, well, yeah, I kind of did. But, you didn't really think there was going to be any playoff implications between these 2 teams at this time of year.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like saying, it's week 17. Who's going to win the division, Carolina or Tampa? Did anybody really think that this game this week would decide the division?
But that's the beauty of football, because people have been dogging hard on that division, similar to how they would dog on the NFC East the last few years. But yet, the year that the East was historically bad, Washington gave Tampa a scary time.
Yeah, first round.
Seattle one year made the playoffs, losing record, and they beat New Orleans. So you really never know.
Yeah, but they were 7-9 that year.
I will say this: if I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, I want to play Carolina. Tom Brady has never lost to the Cowboys, and like our buddy Zappy said on the last show, he does not want to see those guys. He talked to me off air about it. He's concerned, for lack of a better word. He's concerned. Bretsky, your NFL MVP.
My NFL MVP. Mine.
Check it out. Hold on. Who should win? Part one. Who do you want to win? Who will win?
All right. Who do I want to win? Is Justin Jefferson. Who should win? Burrow. Who's gonna win? Mahomes.
All right, so you got who should win was Burrow. Who's gonna win?
Mahomes.
And who you want to win?
Jefferson.
I like that. Who I want to win is a defensive player, so I already know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, Bosa.
Yeah, at the sake of being different, I'm going to say Bosa.
Yeah.
Now, if it's an offensive player, just to make it realistic, because offensive players always win this award unless your name's Lawrence Taylor.
It's going to be an offensive player.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that for a second?
We are, but let me hit my list right quick. Who I want, because I'll say an offensive player, Justin Jefferson. Who should win? Patrick Mahomes. Who's gonna win?
You're gonna say Jalen. You're gonna say Jalen. Oh, I thought you were gonna say Jalen.
I thought I was too, but I actually think that this late season injury might kind of hurt some of the votes. And don't get me wrong, I love what Joe Burrow's done. But when I look at what he's working with, a functional running game and 3 phenomenal receivers. And I look at what Mahomes losing Tyreek Hill. Yes, Travis Kelce's great.
You got to think, too. Chase was out for a couple weeks.
No, I'm not saying he wasn't.
And they were still on a winning streak.
No, I get that. But, it speaks to the roster. It speaks to how good that roster is in terms of the wide receiving room. But that's what I got. Now, you were making the point about defense.
I was making the point, why does it have to be an offensive player? Why does it always have to be a quarterback?
It's not always, but
if you
more often than not.
Like if you look at the list and say, Google, who's the NFL MVP? The first four players are Burrow, Mahomes, Hurts, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
All 4 quarterbacks.
No, I get it. And you get it.
Not a wide receiver.
And you said it off air. You said it off air. And there is a lot of validity to it. It is a quarterback-driven league. No matter what era of the sport, they are the most important position on the field. We do agree on that. But, like you take a year like LaDainian, what he did. He got rewarded for it. He did win the award that year. Emmett has a league MVP from years back, but they're few and far between. I think most recently where you could really make a case was the season that Derrick Henry had.
Yeah.
And if you want to even take it a little back further with another Titan, Chris Johnson, when he did the 2K.
Yeah, CJ.
Yeah, CJ 2K. But I feel that it should be Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and then get a little more creative with who the MVP is. But to always, even in the Super Bowl, dude, listen, I love Eli Manning. Love him to death. And yes, I do believe that he deserved the Super Bowl MVP in 46. With that throw to Manningham, the comeback, yes, he deserved that one. But you can make a case in that first Super Bowl. Justin Tuck? Maybe.
Could.
David Tyree?
Who's in and
I get it. I get it. The quarterbacks take the most scrutiny. Therefore, the quarterbacks should get the most credit. I know there's always going to be 2 sides of it, and I'll always defend both sides because, there are sides to it. But I would like to see a little more diversity when it comes to how they view this award.
I agree.
I think we both agree on that.
I think Justin Jefferson should get it, my personal opinion.
Right.
Just because, number one, he has, the most receiving yards his first 3 years in the league.
Well, check this out. Check this. when Moss did what he did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or when Rice did what he did, going back that.
And he beat all that.
You don't question the quarterbacks, Montana, Brady, Hall of Fame, greatness, all of it, you already know. Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, dude?
I believe in Kirk.
I get it, but
I believe in Kirk.
I get it, but the point I'm making, dude, is that we're not going to mistake ourselves and say that this guy's on a level of a Montana or a level of a Brady. And what I think I'm trying to say is that it speaks more on what that receiver has done. That single, that freaking one-hander in Buffalo.
One-handed grab, dude, in Buffalo.
I mean, I'll put it bluntly, dude. I'll put it bluntly. Do I think that he caught a break playing the Giants without Adoree Jackson and Xavier McKinney? Of course, I think he caught a break, but he still busted our asses. You got to give credit where it's due. The man had a great game.
Dude, that 33-0 comeback.
But once again, a crappy team. And I'll be eating my words if somehow Nick Foles comes to the Meadowlands and makes us cry. But before we get out of here, we've been talking about this lately. Yeah. I want your unbiased opinions on the Cheddar in the Sun Bowl to the viewers. My co-host, Mike Zappi, and I are in my late father's. The league is named after my late father, Cheddar in the Sun. Pop's Cheddar in the Sun League. Zap's the 1 seed, only lost once all year. I happen to be the 3 seed. We are in the finals. Might come down to Burrow versus Allen on the final day of the fantasy regular season, Monday Night Football. Tonight, catch a little break. Zappy had Pollard and Derrick Henry. Yeah, who were not active tonight.
Scratched.
Yeah, absolutely scratched.
That's huge. That's huge for you.
Going to give the viewers a little update. As of right now, Zappy's off to a 32-point lead. I don't have anybody active yet. CeeDee Lamb came through from 22 points. Dallas defense an even 10. But I'm only projected currently to lose by 4 points. So I have every reason to believe this thing is going to come down to the wire.
Yeah. I mean, that's dude. I mean, that's going to come down to the Monday night matchup between the Bengals and Bills. You guys both knew this. The thing is, it's a 2-1 matchup. Advantage you going into that Monday night matchup.
So you got to see where the points lie. In my case, Gabe Davis, Josh Allen. In his case, Joe Burrow.
I'll be honest. You have to hope for not for it to be a shootout. If it's a shootout, Zappy's coming on top.
Not necessarily.
No, he is.
Not necessarily.
But it's going to happen because
not necessarily. I'm going to tell you why.
Do you want my unbiased opinion or is this Richie's unbiased opinion?
Go ahead.
Okay. If this comes down to a shootout, you're losing this matchup. Joe Cool is going to throw for 30-plus points in this Monday night matchup if this comes down to an absolute shootout. If you get it down to a run matchup, a defensive matchup, if this score is 6-10, 10-10 going into halftime, I like your chances. I really like your chances. But if this game is a shootout and it's 20 at half or 24-21 at halftime, I don't like your chances.
Reason why I kind of like my chances regardless, you made the point already, the 2-1 matchup with Allen and Gabe. Because the thing is, Burrow could explode and have a great game, and their two stat lines could look almost identical. But there's two things that I have going in my favor, at least I think so. Number one is that Allen is throwing to a guy that's also on my team. So that's 2-time points, especially for touchdowns. Should Davis get in once, God willing, twice. But then you got the other aspect of it where Allen also runs. We'll see. But, you have the possibility inside the red zone to get those rushing touchdowns. Honestly, I think tonight was the beginning of an advantage for Zappy because he had, even though he didn't have two running backs, he did have a wide receiver who beat his projected and a defense who beat their projected. But, Deebo Samuel coming back this week, big for Zappy. He's got both McCaffrey and Deebo. That's going to be an important game. I got your boy Stevenson. Going to need him to go off. But
you're starting him?
Who, Stevenson?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely starting Stevenson, starting Eckler. I have been back and forth, and I'm going to literally wait and probably until Saturday night to make a final. Nick Chubb, Devontae Foreman. That's a tough one. Because Nick Chubb's projected to do a little better, but Devontae Foreman's playing in a game that's more important. And Nick Chubb's also nursing the foot energy.
I would go Foreman.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards it. But, Chris Olave is another one. He's limited in practice. I hope he returns this week.
Until we replace Slayton?
Yeah, dude, let's keep it a buck.
Hey,
I love my Giants.
What's wrong with your boy Slayton?
I love him, but that's not the guy that you want to roll the dice with in a championship game.
All right, come on.
I mean, I will say this.
He might be the true underdog story of your fantasy career.
Yeah, but I'd rather have the sure thing than, Dude, the weather's going to be shit. How do the Giants win football games? Stingy defense and we run the ball. It ain't Darius Slayton. This isn't the Hakeem Nicks, Victor Cruz days. Yeah, this isn't that era. Anything on your mind, Brett, that you want to speak on before we get out of here?
No, man. I just hopefully everybody has a good holiday and a happy new year. Everybody, please be safe and take care of your family. And it's going to be interesting. The rest of the week. We'll see how the weekend pans out, man. The playoff predictions and the playoff bracket is going to come down to this weekend, along with fantasy championships, and it's gonna be a good new year. And
the thing I like about it is you get the fantasy anxiety out of the week before. You get it out of your system, and then after your fantasy results, in our case especially because we're both on the bottom part of the playoff brackets, but definitely exciting football. Whenever you got meaningful games in December, it's always a worthwhile season. The reason why, and the NFL knows how to do it, man. They just know how to reel you in. And this, more than any other season, the most one-score victories in the history of the league.
Yeah, they know. They know what they're doing. They're in a business to make money, and they're making it. So,
and it's entertainment, money, all of that. And let's face it, man. We this country,
they're like the WWE of the NFL.
God's honest truth. Well, my late father, whenever he saw some sketch calls, well, he said a lot of things when he was watching Packer games and out of frustration. But I wrote after the Jesus Christ, and after a few of those, the thing that I loved about my old man
and a bottle of wild turkey.
Yeah, a bottle of wild turkey. But he would be like, "Oh, this is bullshit. McMahon's writing the storylines." Like that. Take it easy. Take it easy.
That fucking guy. Such a mohon, dude. I miss him, man. I miss him.
Yeah, I miss him too. But hey, man. Yeah.
It's that Brat's guy.
Yeah. But the funny thing, let's say funny. The cool thing is, like I said, this is the reason I love this show so much, is that I always view this show as a way to pay homage to him. And I mean, of course we miss Maddie, we miss Pops, guys like that. Because I say to myself, man, these guys would love this. You imagine the old garage, Maddie on the podcast?
That guy be smoking a black and mild, shit in his pants, talking about the past. He'd be happy as hell.
Absolutely, man. He was always his happiest when he talked football and got it.
Talked about the sacks.
Yeah, got into his vibe for sure, bro. And then
hey, Buckner, Jesus, get that videotape out of here, Buckner.
Yeah. He finally forgave him in 2004 as I broke most of the stuff in my living room. We're not going to talk about that. Dave Roberts, the 3-0 blown lead against the Sox, but that's okay. We won quite a bit. I'm not going to complain too much. If you're wearing a Yankee hat and you're complaining about the Yankees, there's something wrong with you. Until next time, I am Richie. He is Brett. Good job today, Bretsky. Enjoyed having you on the show. It was nice talking about a lot of different topics. Definitely had some laughs here. Everybody, thank you so much for all the love. Really appreciate all the support you've been giving the show. And just want to wish everyone a healthy and prosperous new year. We've been teasing this show for a while. Talked to a good friend of the show, Zay, today. In the near future, we're going to be doing a hip-hop show. So I will keep you guys updated with details to come with that. I know that Idris is definitely going to want to be a part of that.
Yeah, Kanye, MIA.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot. We have a lot to talk.
I'll give Idris that topic.
Yeah, we have a lot. There's a lot that we want to talk about, and a lot that we will. Until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
You might see us before the New Year.